expanding and condensing. We're going to distill all of the knowledge that I've put out in these last 250 videos. We're going to get into triangles. We're going to continue on with Saturn and the Moon, as well as the levels to existence. We'll get into carrier waves again, sympathetic frequencies, a deeper understanding of water, and what the salt has to do with it. So this will be a good condensation of information for people that have been following, and for new people this should be take care of explaining it all, and you can all dip back into the other work to get a little more in depth on it. I want to start with this image because it really explains the obvious theory of what was said when the gods came down into the women of the earth. When the gods came down, and as the giants came down and came into the daughters of men. And what this image represents is the spiritual, electrical, masculine, energetic system above that was from the spirit, from the higher vibrational energy, had to do with mysticism even, and why these ideas of floating or spirits of angelic creatures coming down, even the ideas of Thor, and the feminine nature. So there's the red and the blue of the water, and the women being the mermaids and the water creatures, where the salt is, in the salty seas. And so the men came down into the daughters of men as the electrical god beings, as it is put. And that image really sums up the idea. All of my much earlier work on the magnetic and electrical forces of the universe, the magic, the Magdalene, the mags, the women, that magnetic force, meaning the chalice or the cup, and the electrical universe of the masculine higher energies coming down and combining to make what is man. So it's the idea of God came down to make man so man could become God. He lowered the density and walked down the ladder, fell down. Adam came down, autumn, because autumn is falling, and it fell down into this density, this realm. And we're going to get farther into what these realms are. So here we go a little farther into this. So as we explore this idea of what man is as the condensation of liquid and light. And within that liquid, there was salt. This is why the womb is salty. This is why the water is salty out in the oceans. This is the connection between Saturn and the moon. And this is going to be very redundant for people that have followed, but for the new people that haven't seen my work before, this salt is the cube of Saturn. This is why Saturn is always shown with a sickle. And he's Father Time. Father Time holding the baby, because it's a rebirthing. Because out of the birthing womb of the mother, the organic mother on this earth, the woman, out of the salty womb comes the baby. And then who is there? The doctor, the timekeeper, the one that writes down when the child came onto this plane or this existence, this planet, and they cut the cord, they cut the umbilical cord. That's the first birthing process onto this lower density realm. And so Saturn starts to keep time. But once again, it comes from a higher level. So there's a second idea of getting out of time. Because again, once you come outside of time, you emit time. Because emit is time backwards. To be outside of it, in fact. To emit it like the sun. Because the sun is the time emitter. Saturn is connected to the moon. As I was just exploring the idea of the moon controlling the salts and the metals. It's always magnetic. Talk about moon and the money and the currency and the current of the water. And the salt in the ocean, the salt everywhere is always in cubes. So we talk about even Saturn and Father Time and the cube nature we live in, the cubic nature. So the cube unfolds into a six-sided, well, the cube has six sides and it unfolds into a cross. This is the connection to the sixth day of the week, which is Saturn Day. Saturday, it's the sixth day of the week. Six sides. And then as Saturn being the seeder, as the seed was planted in the salty earth, as the seed came forth, Saturn holds the sickle, the scythe, and cuts the umbilical. And that's why he is representative of the number 7. So this birthing process that happens on 2 levels. And this is the frequencies. These are the densities we live in. And let me jump over here so it can be understood a little more. This idea even of this flat earth we live on, and I'll get into this in 1 second. Well, before I do that, let me explain this here. We'll explain what the density we live in and the frequencies, the harmonics and the vibrations. So here we are. Okay. So here is the planet. Here's the planet, the plane, the earth that we live on. And we'll consider this man right here, over on the right side. That is the whole entity that you are. Here is the red to the purple. This is the carrier wave. Here you go. Here is man. That's the entirety, as I was explaining before. You are, depending on when you were born, your carrier wave that contains all of you is from the red to the red here. And that may be you being born as a Leo. And then you may be born, and I'm giving a couple clues to my other videos here. You may be born as a Gemini, which looks like that. And all of these, you have all of these different energies in you, just depending on what amount. There's an Aquarius. And all of these go into that body. But not everybody is complete or total or whole, because they were born through the womb, the initial birthing womb. Out of the 12 months, they were only in the womb for 9, which produced the being that they are. Now you have to collect the rest of you. And you can collect these things, as we'll get into further later, through the different plant life, through the different colors, the sounds, the people around you. So here you are sitting in this density of existence, on this harmonic. So this is an octave. You live in an octave. We're not going to go too far into octaves, but it is connected to the cube, and it's connected to the planet that you live on, to the plane that you live on. The next plane up would be, let me make sure this color is right here. Your next plane up would be here. And then there'd be one above that. Now this goes on infinitely, really. But to get to the next harmonic, to the next octave, you have to complete this octave of where you're sitting. So here, let me jump over to this so it makes a little more sense. Here's what people mean about flat Earth. I don't know if everyone else means this, but this is what I'm explaining to you. I'm showing you how this really exists. How these ideas of multiple realities, multiple places, and multiple positions, these are the different realities. These are the different octaves that we live on. Within this octave, this is where we live, and this is what happens. And people want to climb the ladder, and they want to raise their consciousness. And there's people that, what they end up doing, let me make this a little more clear here. People want to raise their consciousness, and that's all well and good. And they sometimes do. They come in here and they start playing around with the light codes that are up here. And they get all up here, and they're so purple, they're so heady, that they forget about all this that lives down here, and they think, oh, we're holier than thou, and you've got to raise your kundalini, and you've got to be this, there's no, love and light, everyone. And they haven't actually transmuted themselves to the next plane, because what they've missed is they have no red chakra. They have none of this. They've totally abandoned that octave, or excuse me, that frequency. So in this carrier wave, until you complete the carrier wave, which is the whole thing, which makes you a monad, a complete circle, just like the sun, because the sun is giving you the entire frequency range, these people continue to think they've expanded in the love and light. And watch what happened to these people on these vegan diets, these people that think that they're advancing consciousness by just talking all this purple nonsense. And I'm not trying to be offended and saying it's nonsense, because it's part of it. But when they don't accept the lower chakra, when they don't complete the circuit, meaning they have 7 circuits in their body, if we make it most fundamental and basic, if they leave out any of these circuits, nothing good happens. You'll watch these people decay. You'll watch them start falling apart because they don't have any bass. They don't have the, listen to a song that has no bass. It's not as delightful to listen to. So you need to have completely explored all of these octaves in your system, and there's ways of putting those informational vibrations into you. And everybody talks about how these, but they never explain to you how the whole thing works. And here I'm giving it to you. So to get up to this next octave, you have to fully complete all of this, and then your entire. They talk about light body. I mean, to get completely out of this realm, this is like getting out of body. But what you do is, to go up a realm, you take your body with you. You expand every one of these frequencies, all of these frequencies, to envelop what is called your aura. Your aura is your area. It's the area that you have control and energetic flux over. Like you can move those energies, and it becomes what is your complete monad, the whole circle. And then your entire body goes up into the next level of frequency. Now, what does this look like? What does this look like practically? Let's get into this, what the human body looks like, and we'll get back to that a little further and explain to you a little more about the densities and the harmonics again. But your body, as it sits here, let's open up more of these here. Your body sits here in 3 levels. You have a base level, just like this building. I'm showing it to you as I try to work in threes up and down, and 3s across, and 3s, so you can see the entire thing. Here's your first level of your body. Actually, in your body, it's up to your navel and then up to your chin. Here's your first level. Here's your second level. And here's your third level. Here's your first level. Here's your second level. And here's your third level. Okay, so these 3 levels. We do it. I show you through the organic system, through your human system, through the spiritual system, and as well through the what you would call a Julius Caesar type system, through a salty Saturnian system, through the inorganic system, through the moon matrix system, which has to do with the buildings, and the buildings are corporations, they're corpses. And first off, let's talk about this. So people that are always talk about the vegan, which is Vega or vegan, and we could get into that movement as far as what the cult of it means, but the cultivation of the vegan movement has a lot to do with plastics and Saturnian movements. That it's been hijacked, just like most everything is. I suggest to people very heavily, drop the labels, eat the food. If it has a seed, eat it. It's that simple. And then we can get into a little later, I'll talk about alchemy and alcohol and oils and everything else. But certainly, here we go. Here's the 3 levels. You can look at this on the planet and find people that have stronger bases, or that are very heady, or that have a stronger constitution in their middle body. And so people that eat of the earth root vegetables, you'll probably find their legs to be bigger. You'll find them have thicker blood, thicker skin. You find people that are in hot climates, and what do you find? You find fruits there. You don't find fruits in cold climates. And what do you find with those people? They have skinny legs. They're very heady. They talk with a lot with their hands. They're very boisterous. They're more mentally agile. Now think of this in the business format. It's all built off of astrology, and if you really get into what these businesses are and how they build themselves, the smartest businesses, and if anybody out there is running a business, I can break this all down and show you how it's done, build a business based on this, that the employees, if you were smart, you would find employees, depending on their birth sign, and use them in certain parts of this building. And this is why the CEO is up here, always at the top, right up here in the third category. The CEO is the fruit. The CEO is the smartest part. It's the most built, and it should be the most educated, meaning the roots are educating the rest of this tree, and the tree becomes foundated from the roots. So the foundation of this fruit, which is the information in complete harmony and glory of what has been produced by the roots, it shows up in what should be the CEO. If they flip it over and build it upside down, there's a lot we're not going to get into all that here. But here's the 3 levels to the building. On the base floors, you have people that are cleaning, and then up here you have middle management, and these are the ball workers. Ball, right? This is where your balls are. And then we get up into these higher levels of consciousness. And this is, again, it's always mimicked. The human body shows you the earth, because you're organic, mimics that. It's the same thing. The tree and the human are the same thing. And then what we've done is we've taken that and we've implemented into the Saturnian inorganic world. So what's next here? There we go. So back to these frequencies and how this works, where you sit now. So now think of that idea of your human body and completing the circuits and the energy centers within you. And we take that 3 levels and we subdivide it a little more into 7 levels, and we can get to the knees, and we get to every other part of you on as far as like maybe even the Egyptian theory that there's 360 chakras, and it's just dividing up the one single source. And that one source, and this is the 3 levels. Let me do this again. The one source is straight up and down. It's a ladder, just like that piano on its side. It's like if you were to take a piano and put it on and put keys on it that go as far as you can look left and as far as you can look right, what you would find is that if you go farther to the left, you'll find a frequency so dense that it will produce a solid. And if you go to the right and you're going up to the higher frequencies, you'd find a frequency so it would turn into a smell, because that's how it works. And this is why you can say that key is that color, so that sound is that color, is that smell, is that density. And so we live in, and this is even further to explore. There's 88 keys on the piano, and they tell you there's 88 constellations in the sky. So you are that set of frequencies, and it's all about tuning up those frequencies to the next carrier wave, which is we're on this one carrier wave. Now we move up to the next set of waves, which would be here. Let's get rid of these. And so you'd live on the next stage. And here we go. Those are these waves. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, I really want to get onto this digital frequency again. And so people understand the difference between a digital frequency and what is an analog frequency. Because an analog frequency can go on infinitely, where a digital frequency has a stop point. And this is what a keyboard is. This is why the keys, they put you in certain specific tones and they sound correct together. This is why you have the 13 keys within an octave in a piano, but you could infinitely cut those up into different keys. So you're putting yourself on one specific frequency, and it's about completing that entirety of the frequency so you can move up an octave. It's why the A key in this octave down here is equivalent to this one and this one. So you're going through the 3 densities again. The 3 densities, the densities of what is solid, then liquid, and then air. So to become an etheric being means getting rid of, they say, here's the analogy again, man is the salt of earth. Well, man is, what is God then? He's not salt. The idea of what the higher realms of angelic energy, the frequencies and the vibrations are just less dense. It's no different. It's just less dense up there. And so the dense things are the salts. So you were incubated into the lowest form The lowest form is the salty, earthy sea. And this is the connection, once again, to be under the dominion or the control mechanisms of the moon and the salt. And it holds you inside of those frequencies until you get rid of the things that are of the earth that are inside of you. And you move up into a watery substance, a watery substrate, which would be the next level up. Density from the solids to the liquids. And the next level up is obviously into the higher realms. So this is why when we get a little farther into the levels of, I did this in another video, the ideas at least that I have of what the flat earth should really mean, is that these planets and these archons, or these specific beings that they label as giants, if you were in the ether, they might actually be moving bodies and planets. They might be balls of energy in the highest realm. And in the realm we're in, because we've been incubated inside of one of these, this energy from this giant planetary body, this being in the sky that might be a ball of energy, it might be a solid surface out there in that realm, throws its energy down into what this is. So it goes through the water, which acts as a lens, and it gives you a light into this we see as stars. It hits this, and there's the convex right there that gives us information as those are the stars. Now when you move up a level, your consciousness moves up. What you see, what you feel, and what you are moves into a liquid level. So it goes into this. So now the view, what your eyes see and what you are, the view of these bodies change. Until you get up into the highest level, you'd probably actually, this shell wouldn't be here. That would be the idea of breaking the shell and being outside of. You'd go from having an earthy, salty shell down here. There's the cube that you live in, the Saturnian salt cube. And as you make it to the watery level, things are kind of, this is why people in this age, the age of Aquarius, things are like, whoa, what's going on? Because the fluid movement that's occurred, you've went from being a digital being, meaning you had specifically this one frequency, specifically this frequency. Now, as you become more fluid up here, those waves change, and it's, instead of playing a piano, it'd be like playing those keys on a piano, but each one of those keys you had to adjust yourself, like a violin. So this is the liquid matrix. And so it's more difficult to understand what's going on. It's confusing. But as you get out of even the water, then you get into this etheric plane, which is, again, looking at your body here. Here's the carrier wave. If you step up here into this next carrier wave, this would be what you would call getting out of body. You could get out of body into a liquid environment, or you could really get out of body and get into that etheric environment where you can float and you can fly and you can do all of these things, because that is actually your spirit body sitting up here as your second self. Here's you up here, living through the sun, generating energy down here as what you'd call a spirit, a spiral. It's a spiraling of that energy. It comes down here to be into your physical body. And your job, if you so choose, is to bring your body with you to the next level. Or you can leave it here like most people do, and that's called dying. And that's when their spirit leaves their body. I mean, you do it every night anyways. And people have probably had these events during waking life. You have these during meditation. But you get out of body and you go to this next level. But getting out of body to this level would be the least dense stage. So here you are on this harmonic once again, and now you're vibrating all these things. Now these dreams, let's get a little deeper here. People always talk about, oh, I got out of body and there was these weird things I seen, these creepy creatures. Well, what's happening here, let's go in this a little deeper so you can understand. You ate something. You put something into your mouth portal. There you go. And now it goes in and it becomes a cube of salt over your heart chakra, over that energy center in your bowels. Now all of a sudden it's in your blood. It's moving through your blood. It's inside of your bowel. And now all of a sudden it's mixing up with your spirit. And now all of a sudden you're trying to get out of body. And what's going to be sitting there? The reflection of one of these archons up here that is actually distorted because you have a distortion in your system. The distortion is to look down a hall of mirrors that is dirty. If you looked into a pond that was dirty, that had salt in it, that had muck in it, that had things in it that were not clean and pure, the reflection that you would see would be, ooh, whoa, what is that? I can't understand what that is. So when people get out of body and see those things, it is literally a dirty reflection of something that has been incubated inside of you, and it's dirty. It's a filthy mirror. So by cleansing yourself with waters, you get rid of all of, here, you start to turn your body into this. And now, when getting out of body is easier, getting up to this level, you don't experience these archetypes and these archons and these god-type figures and these angelic figures as distorted. And in fact, you might be able to see them as they actually exist. So, cleansing your body actually will put you up to this next level. And this even gets into pranayama and why the breath is so important. This is why if you stop breathing, you die, meaning you come down to this level. And then what's next? Oh, you can only survive on water for X amount of days. Then you come down to this level. You start eating. This is where you are. You stop eating. This is where you go up here. You go up a level. And here's your water self. And then you start breathing. And well, everybody knows that breathing, pay attention to your breath, you get up into this level. So now you're Aryan. Liquitarian, water, Aryan. And down here, you're, what do they say? Once again, it's turning the lead into gold. And even in that allegory, you don't want to turn into gold. It's just this word has come by a lot. It's called your goal or your God. Here we go. G-O-D. What do you put in there? An L. You put an angle in there. You put an angle into God, you get gold. So Saturn is lead. Gold has to do with the sun, but you're trying to even get out of whatever that faction or that fraction is, that angle. There's angles in there. So it's using those on the way to becoming gold like the sun. It's the idea of what the sunlight is. It's the only way someone could express what gold is. So gold is to get to actually an etheric level. So here you are. Let me do this one more time in a little different way, and then we'll get a little bit more into the diet. But this should be already pretty clear and plain to understand. There we go. Let's go up here. Alright, so here you are on this carrier wave once again. And I've put this guy over here because I did this in another video. The idea of you, this guy here, is what the Jesus Christ figure is. He's the fisherman, the fisher of men, the fisher king, that takes the fish from underneath the sea, where you sit in the salty waters, as Saturn, as the devilish or demonic creature, the 666, all of the thing that is referencing the man of earth, the earthly bound thing. And this is why Julius Caesar is JC, it's a reflection. JC, Jesus Christ. It's a reflection of each other. Jesus is up there. Julius is down there. And so he's in the water. This is why you get a Caesar salad. What is the Caesar salad? It's got fish in it. Because he's part of the dense physical world. And so here's the Jesus Christ figure over here in the boat, fishing for, which is actually you, yourself, as oil, as kundalini, as however you want to express it. That you capture yourself, or not capture, but bring yourself above water to the next octave, to the next harmonic, which is liquid. Above you bring yourself out of the dense cube of Saturn, up into the higher realm, and then you go up even higher than that to the next level, which in putting this into the threes would be the three levels. And then you would be what it would be a sun type god. You would be a sun god. You'd be an etheric sun god. So you'd be part of the vibrational matrix of the soul. The sun is the soul. And what's missing from that? You. You're missing from that. So if you take your soul of the sun and put an L in it, or excuse me, put a U in it, put you in it, you get a soul. And this is why you take soil to oil, or to soil to soul. You take I and turn it, well, that's a little fun little game we could play another time. It's just what the I is, and yeah, we won't do that here. So yes, we've discussed the octaves, I think, fully. The Jesus figure, you moving up the ladder, not only within the carrier wave that you're in, but getting up to the next carrier wave. Saturn, we discussed. The flat Earth, and that idea of the dome is your head, it's your skull, because you're spitting out reality through your eye. This is why if they say, if thine eye be single, let's see here. Here you go. So you're spitting out this reality out of this eye. I mean, it's a looping system back into yourself, but you spit out this range of octave you live in. So let's get into eating again. Let's get into like source material and what the diet should be, because the diet comes from the word deity, and deity is God, and God is good. Whatever, it's not a singular entity. Your God is, if you're thirsty, water is your God. It's that simple. If you're cold, fire is your God. It's that simple. So, eating, the highest source, the most basic thing you need to consume is sun, is the energy from the sun. That's producing all of the energy. But because most people cannot do that, because their body is so dirty, the amount of energy that would start being put through someone's body to break up the stagnant dross and the filth in your body, which would be the heavy materials, the matter, the substances, you would probably injure yourself quite quickly if that's all you did. You couldn't just jump that gap. You couldn't make yourself go all the way to the sun. So the next level in density is obviously water and things that contain more water. This is changing your diet from it's not as simple as everybody wants to, eating meat's bad, and be a fruitarian and be a vegan, and yeah, I get all the ethics and the morals that go into this, but it really boils down to the density of what you're consuming. Density, and then furthermore, electrical charge. But again, the electrical charge that comes into you is sourced from yourself. It's your energy that you have of imagination. But to get there, to access that, to have more use of that, you need to step up from the density. So if you're eating dry food, it's going to get clogged up in your system. You want to get to a liquid diet. This is why juicing is so good. Not necessarily because of certainly because you're eating the rainbow and there's different vibrations in there. You need to be cracking open different chakras, because again, these foods have to do with each of your organs, and the colors of the food are going to, just like you see there, it's everything is so very simple. Just get to the basics. These colors are going to work on those chakras. So eating those foods will get you there. will start to clean up and purify those things. So, getting into eating what's beneath the ground. People ask about eating the roots, the vegetation, and the fruits. The roots and the fruits. So eating what's beneath the ground, when you put it into a stew or into water, you're actually doing yourself, that's fine. You're getting the information. It's still of the tree. Just as let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. A lot of people are very familiar with all of the plant life substances that are used by shamans medicinally, but that medicine is obviously changing the vibration. It's cleaning the body out. It has information in that. The roots of the tree have just as much information as everything else does. So we can use those depending on your climate, where you live. Using those things is perfect. Put it into the water. And then use the fire because you're the fire keeper, you are the fire. You are the shaman, you are the magician. You're the whole thing. And because you're the alchemist, you know how to start a fire and boil water and put the substances in there and use it that way. What is the next level? Before we get into the more of the alchemy, cleansing the body so that whatever you put into it, you can understand better. It's like if you have clean water and you put a drop of food coloring in it, you'll notice it. If you have dirty water, you won't notice it. So you want to literally clean the water in your body so that whatever food you put into it, your body will recognize. Not only will it recognize it energetically, but it'll recognize it where it might be going in your body, especially if you're focused on it, and what it's having an effect on, what organ, what part of you. So just to clear up the vegan myth. Once again, I've done this plenty of times. The ideas and the notion of eating a vegan diet is great and wonderful. Just stay away from the things that are inside of the store that do not have seeds. If it's not a plant and it doesn't produce seeds, then get away from it. Stop using the label vegan. If you need a label, be a vegetarian. And if you as everybody likes to get into it, well, they like to chop it up. Well, do you eat eggs? Do you eat this? And like it, I mean, it gets a little too. Is that a vegetable? Is an egg a vegetable? No. I mean, don't ask me what I eat, because the way that I exist is way different than the way you exist. So if you want to know what you need to eat to get to a higher level, this is what we're getting at. I'm not going to explain my diet to somebody, because I would be like, oh, okay, you want to go hard with me? Let's go. We're drinking piss today, all day. Yeah, we're gonna drink, but nobody really wants to get there. If you want to get there, get on urine, loop your urine, drink aged urine. Let's get into that. Alkaline, the alkaline body. People have gone too far with this alkalizing. Alkalizing is just as bad for the body as acid. We want the body to be in balance, and to get the body into balance, the cleanest, purest, most balanced thing is what? Clean water. And then we can charge the water. I'm kind of going a little farther into this eating thing than I wanted to specifically for this video, but I'll just explore it just a little more here for you. The body needs to be turned into, as I've explained before, because again, it's about the threes. Not a three like a triangle, but a three levels, up and down. And getting into looking at the body as an electrical system, as a plasmic or water-based system, and as a skeletal physical system. And it's in the same way. It's the three levels of the body. It's the air, the water, and the matter. So the air would be the etheric electrical current. The water would be the feminine liquid nature, and the skeletal body nature would be the Saturnian nature, the skeletal nature. This is why, even going farther into the idea of death and Saturn and the skeleton and is what the salt is and what it incubates you in. Again, God made man so man could become God. It's just a looping system. And what the containment vessel is the is the salt, this is why salt contains something and puts it into an incubation phase. It's the shell of something. It's just like the idea of what the pharaohs did. They're incubating consciousness. The moon is a consciousness incubator. We're not. I don't know. I don't know that anybody could really, qualify that the moon was once a sun. Maybe it was. Who knows? It's irrelevant to everyone right now where we are in this time and place. If you're listening to me, all that really matters is what the moon is used as now, and it's a secondary sister unit that puts something into an incubation phase that allows for an egg to be contained around it, just like salt contains a pickle. Salt contains something and lets it. You can put salt into the meat, and what does it do? You can have that meat will be sitting there it can sit there and for years until it is imbued with life again. So this goes in even to a lot of the deeper teachings that some of these people out here are screaming, yelling about, but they don't really understand completely that the incubation and the death phase and being dead as death doesn't really exist. It's just about the density. Death has to do with de-adding something from it's just the level of density. That's once again let's get into that. It's these three levels of density. So moving up in the throughout the three stages. And as I was speaking about looking at the body from the liquid level, from the electrical level, and from the skeletal level. So start to find things, because as we can see again, let me try it this way in these three levels. Oxygen, if we call the air oxygen, and we look at water and we realize it's hydrogen and oxygen, then we can see that oxygen is high as a higher level, and that it is contained also in water. So the water is the containment vessel for the oxygen. And when you breathe in, you oxidize what's in your body, meaning burn off the things that aren't supposed to be in your body. It's also an electrical charge. So that electrical charge that you get by breathing something in, pranayama, you breathe in the electrical charge and the oxygen, which is burning off things that shouldn't be in your body. The water does the same thing, but it's easier. It's the next level up to get something out of the body, because you can't just expect to throw density into your body to remove density. You need to throw liquid in. Now, if you're at a higher level and if you're more liquid already, then you can use the air. You can use the oxygen in the air and the electrical charge from that to move something. So your body is about removal of weight. Weight is 8. It's what you've eaten. It's what you've ate. 8 is the infinite looping. Stop eating, stop aiding, and you can complete the cycle, which is 9, which is the, moving up a level. This is why it stands there with a 9 is a 6 upside down. I've done this in other videos. A 6 is sex. Sex is what you produce a seed with, and this is why the 6 is the seed in the ground. I don't want to go too far with this, but then the seed starts to rise up, and then you have the Saturn, the father time, with a scythe that chops off. And from that 7, you eat it. You ate that. And after you've ate that, if you don't eat that, then it goes, what does it do? It bypasses that, the seed, because if it has a seed, one goes back into the ground and one raises up. And so you look at the number 9, and it's literally a staff with a circle atop it. It's the opposite of a 6. This is even the connection between a male and a female in 69. And that first picture that I showed you, here we go. Here it is again. Let me show it to you as I was just explaining to you, but we'll do it this way. If here is the 6, there's the seed, there's the 6. You make the 6, and there's the seed, and it sprouts up. Right? And then someone comes along with the 7, and there's Father Time, and cuts it. So that you can either eat the seed, but if you don't, the seed falls back down into the earth, and the other part rises up as a 9. So there's the 9, and so this is why you go into 69 with a woman. There's the 6. There's the 6, and there's the 9. So this is the completion of the cycle. You see? There's the 2 seeds, and it can either be eaten, and you can continue eating that cycle. Let me erase this and show it to you a little bit more here. Make this a little more clear, if that wasn't already. So here's the 6. Here's the 9. If you ate something, the cycle stays there. Does that make sense? The seed is still contained in the ground, and it can't go in either direction. It maintains its level on the ground. This is why even if you say a time, here's what time is. That's an 8. What does that also look like to you? What does Father Time hold? It's sand. There's the sand in there, there's the time. And it keeps going down into here. And what does he do? He flips it over. He flips it over again. So you can't get outside of what you've eaten. Because if you eat something, then you have weight in you. Then you have weight in you. If you want to be enlightened, to be light, there it is. You actually lose weight. You stop 8, and you jump around it. So the 6, you get rid of you basically jump from the 6 to the 9. And so the 9 sprouts up. And there's this, it's always connected with the 0. That's the seed. You get outside of time and you don't have to wait. You don't have any weight. You've become enlightened. I hope that made a lot of sense to y'all. Here we go. What else do we got left here? Seems like a good place to stop. I think I've covered everything. Let me just review these little pictures here and see if I did miss anything. Do I have anything that I wanted to touch on? Let me meditate on this for a second. See if anybody asked me any more questions that I access. We've got time, we've got Saturn, we've got the 3 levels to the building, consciousness, we've gotten what you should eat. Let me just, I think that's a good place, but let me finish with this. One last thing on alchemy and alcohol and the consumption of alcohol and what it is. Once again, it's called the spirit, because just in that same way that I just showed you that, here we go again. Let me show you this 9. The 9 is the spirit. That's the spirit. So when you're making alcohol and you're distilling something, you're taking the essence of what is the 6, what in the earth. You're taking the plant substance and you're turning it into ether. You can get to ethanol and ether and ethyl alcohol and all of these these names. It's all about bringing the spirit up. And this is why you don't need a large amount of it. This is why when you drink a lot, you get the spins and you're out of control, because it's a vortex. And if you have too much weight in you, you have 8, it means you have cubes in you, and all of a sudden you're stumbling all over the place. Because the weight in you won't allow it. But you only need a little bit. And so that etheric substance, that air, because there's a lot of oxygen in the air, and we talk about the charge of the ether, we talk about breathing being the most basic thing that we do. We breathe in the energy. What does it have to do with the spirit? If you take in too much breathing, it makes you very lightheaded, and you get the spins. So just taking in too much spirit, you'd want. This is about cleansing the body once again, because you're taking of the earth, you're taking of the water, and you're combining it with the spirit, and so you get the fire water. Fire is electricity, water is the feminine, so alcohol is fire water. But you don't use a lot of it. If you use too much, it does a cleansing thing. It does a job. It speeds the process up. This is sure. This is absolute. But a shot is called a shot for a reason. You go to a doctor and get a shot, well, maybe that shot should be what alcohol is. Because people in the health community, they're always up in arms about alcohol being evil, but they're the first people at the health food store looking for their tincture with the herbs in it. not at all even realizing that part of the process of that 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 substance of that transmuted substance of the plant life is actually in the alcohol. That it's not just the plant life that's doing the work. It's the alcohol itself. Both of them in harmony do work. The alcohol, in its most basic format, we would call it something to the idea of what vodka is. Vodka does mean water. It's the Russian water, right? And what that water is fire, just the basics of fire water. So it's a cleansing, fiery substance. It's very clear. It's a clear, direct, cleaning fluidium of fire. But when you add an element, now it turns into what you'd call Jinn. I'm going to go a little deeper here for you guys. If anybody's familiar with what the Jinns are, the Jinn, they are spirits, but it's also called Jinn. Now, in Jinn, there's how many different types of plant life substances? So now they've gone into the substrate of what the alcohol is, and they give you all of these different plant lives in you. And so you imbibe of the Jinn. You imbibe the spirit. And these, in this way, if you take vodka, vodka is mostly cleansing. It's not delivering you anything. It's cleaning something. When you put all of the other spirits in it, whether it be gin or, and I speak at length about gin because it's the most obvious one, and it has the most green benefit to it, you're taking in and allowing those plant life substances to do work on your organs. So now those jinns play your organs. So the angels, the angels, the jinn are actually the ones doing work on your organs. So then when it doesn't look right, that's because you're full of food. You're full of waste. Waste, this is why you have, I'm going to go a little farther into this, waste is your waste. This is why it's around your belly. Bell, and you wear a belt. It's your ball. Ball is where your belly is, where you wear a belt. Around your waist, where your waist is. And your waist is your weight. It's the same word. What is the difference? You put an S in there. There's energy in waste. So use the waste energy to get out of you. I've gone a little farther into the language, but as it always works out this way, as the language holds so many clues and keys to everything. We want to turn the system into completion by bypassing eating or ate or what we have eaten to use it correctly as an energy center, because there is power in those seeds. And so going a little farther into those seeds, it's called soil to oil, because anybody want to look into that, the idea again, it's the oil that's made inside of the soil. It's the same word. What's the key again? The S. Oil. Soil to oil. And so within those seeds, you can press those to get the oil out of it. And that oil is a huge part of a transition in who you are as a being. Because if you don't have oil in your system, just like old people, crickety crackety, falling apart, the oil is part of the matrix of what you are. And it's keeping yourself lubricated. So, I guess that's all I want to do here. I think that's another good place to end this. Once again, if anybody is curious about answers here, feel free to leave the questions below and I'll see what I can do for you. I hope this was spectacular for everyone. We'll chat soon.